Hey, my name's Matthew. I'm the DevRel at ZetaChain. I'm joined here today by two of our very inspiring engineers. We have Hernan and Dennis, and today we're going to be going through universal NFTs, a tutorial. What is a universal NFT? Well, a universal NFT is deployed on ZetaChain and can then be sent or transferred cross-chain to other chains like EVM chains. We'll probably example today and onward to other connected chains and back again. So Hernan is going to be showing us a demo today. I'll pass it over to him to have him walk through universal NFTs on ZetaChain.
Cool, cool. So can you guys see my screen sharing?
Yes, we can.
Yeah,
Yes.
cool. So I think first thing we should be doing is we should be bringing the ZetaChain new project, and we want to clone the low example because we are going to be reusing the front end from there. Cool. We have this tutorial link. I'm not sure we are going to be using this, but and I think it would also be wise to have the NFT because we are going to be deploying some contracts. We have this tutorial here. This is the one we are going to be using. So let me open this in my cursor editor and let's see what we have. So these are the two repos I have just created. This is the front end we are going to be using. And this is the NFT example where all of these contracts live. So let me take a look, and we will basically follow all of these steps. So we have some contracts deployed. So yeah, first thing is create new universal NFT. This is exactly what I just did. See the NFT yarn. Perfect. So let's follow those instructions. See the NFT. Let me do this in a separate tab. See the NFT yarn. And we need to build the contracts. This is always the boring part.
Yeah, so we're basically running Yarn because most of our tooling is in TypeScript. So we essentially are using two package manager systems. One is Yarn for tools, and one is Forge Soldier. Soldier is the package manager for Solidity projects. It has been added to Forge, so we are using that as well.
Okay, that's cool. Forge builds.
Cool thing about Forge build is that it has a sizes flag, I believe, which also computes the size of the compiled contracts. And sometimes it is a factor because some contracts are big, like the NFT one. It wouldn't be possible to deploy this contract without optimizations that Forge provides. So if you disable optimizations and run Forge build with sizes, you'll see that the contract is more than 24 kilobytes, which means it's not going to be possible to deploy it. But
okay, so that went well. What's next? So basically, we went with option one, which is creating a new universal NFT, but we are not going to be using option two because we don't have an existing ERC 721 at the minute. So let's set up these variables here. This will work because I already have ZetaChain installed globally in my local system. If you don't, then you will need to do npm install global ZetaChain. I already did that. So yeah, let's, just for the sake of it, ensure this was properly set up. And yeah, that's the case. So private key, as you guys already saw, it's already set up. But in any case, I mean, I think we can simply check that we actually have it by checking the length. And I don't. So let me stop my screen sharing for a little bit and set up.
That's some interesting use of the shell. Like, I didn't know you can check that the
You
variable
can check
list.
the length. Yeah, that's really cool.
Right.
So where is this backup private key? I mean, everyone knows it by now, but I mean, I'm still secretive about it. So yeah, that's been set up. Let me share my screen again. Share screen. Entire thing. There you go. So yeah, that's also been set up. Let's go back to the tutorial. Now we can start deploying some contracts. First thing is going to be deploying contracts on ZetaChain base and Ethereum. Okay, let's do this first. ZetaChain. This is going to work because my private key already has testnet funds. Otherwise, it wouldn't. Cool. That's the first. I think it would be really wise if we save this somewhere. I think it would be good to have them here in our front-end project constants contracts. And let's export a constant here, which is basically NFT contract addresses. Sure. And first is going to be, yeah, ZetaChain. Then we are going to be doing Sepolia and then base Sepolia. Cool. That autocomplete drives me nuts sometimes. Okay, that's the first. Then we need to deploy on base. Terminal.
What I like about our tutorials is that you can actually like follow along and copy commands, and the sequence kind of works. So convenient.
Yeah, no, super convenient. So this was base Sepolia, and now we have one more, which is Sepolia Ethereum.
We're actually setting gas limit because, well, first of all, you might want to customize how your contract behaves on when it receives an NFT, and also because it's possible now to make transfers and calls. So you can transfer an NFT in the latest version of the package. You can transfer an NFT and simultaneously execute some logic. And for that, you need gas limit, and that will affect how many tokens you need to provide for this operation to transfer NFT cross-chain.
So you're saying that all of the operations performed by the contract will use the same gas limit?
This gas limit is used when you're transferring an NFT to another chain. So yeah, the
It's a
more
flexible parameter, but the default might not necessarily be the minimum. It's just a default amount that that should be constructed. It's very flexible, but also has to is a custom job. You should set your own gas limit, just like with any transaction. If the standard fee, um, you can always lower the standard fee. For the most part, it does. Do you want it right now, or do you want it in 3 seconds? Like, is it a big difference? Well, if it's your money, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, next we are going to be calling this set connected function on ZetaChain on the universal contract, and we basically need to establish, that the connected contracts are trustworthy. So we are going to be doing this with Cast. Hopefully you have that installed. I do. I think we go through the prerequisites of the tutorial somewhere in the docs, right, Dennis?
Yeah, I think it's mentioned in the tutorial, but Cast comes standard with the Foundry setup, which is a very useful set of tools for EVM development.
Cool. Let me do the same thing for the Ethereum Sequoia contract. Oh, this is getting in the way. There you go. Cool. And then on each connected change, we need to set them as universal. So basically, we are going to be calling the set universal function on each of them. First on base. Cool. And then on Ethereum, Sequoia.
When we're running set connected, it actually accepts address as bytes, if I'm not mistaken. And the reason for that is because we want to make sure that it's future-proof for chains that have addresses not in hex, like Solana, for example. Make sure that it works with those chains as well.
Yeah, good forward thinking.
I think the biggest thing I've learned so far is how you set that constant for your variables. So now you can use the tutorials and as is, as instead of a constant replacing of variables or having to edit what you're using from the tutorial in any way. I think that's a key. I did not see that coming. I was like, oh, so cool. You can, I'm definitely gonna try that now. Because I don't think I've done that before, and it's definitely been it's a recurring thing. And of course you want to set it as a constant so that you can use the tutorials as is. I think that's really smart.
So yeah, I don't know what's going on, but basically I'm getting an error when trying to run this set universal. And the thing is, I tried again, and apparently I'm having some sort of nonce issue. So basically it's saying that the replacement transaction is underpriced. I guess this means that this transaction was broadcasted, and then I tried to run the same thing with the same nonce. So yeah, let me try that one more time. We can start bytecoding right away. No, okay, there you go. Yeah, temporary hiccup, no worries. Let's keep on moving. So mint on ZetaChain. I guess this is what we are going to be doing in our web app. So I don't think we need to be doing any of this right now in the terminal. So let's jump back to our code editor because all of the preparation steps were completed. So now all of the required contracts are deployed. We have called the set connected function on the universal contract for both of the other contracts, as well as called the set universal function on each of them in their corresponding chains. So now let me run this and see what we have. So I will be closing this tab. We don't need it anymore. And we will do cd hello. I think this is front end. So I think I simply yarn dev. Now, first, I need to install the libraries with yarn.
I just recently realized that most of my storage on my laptop is actually taken by different node modules directories all over the place. Like when I clean them up, it's like 50 gigabytes additionally.
Yeah, that's insane. I think there is a
Plus
pretty
the
cool command.
cache. Plus
Yeah.
Node keeps a cache, a pretty big cache too. So it could be twice that size. That's definitely a problem. Yarn and npm are two different package managers for the same packages. So it's just a matter of preference, and for a lot of things, Yarn is preferred.
So yeah, now that I have installed the packages, I can already start running this and see what we have. So this is our front-end example for the hello example. We have already demoed this a couple of times. So you can basically connect your wallets. I will be connecting my Rappi wallet, which is, by the way, the one that deployed the contracts, which is why I'm going to be able to mint NFTs. Because I think the save mint function has only mints. Is that correct, Eddie? So I think only the owner can mint NFTs.
Yeah, by default, that's correct.
Hmm. Oh, I hate it when this happens. Let me try that again. There you go. So this is the example everyone already knows because we have demoed it several times. Essentially, you can pick any of these chains and send your message to the universal contract. We are going to be doing something different today, but we are going to be reusing much of this UI. Since we don't have support for all of these chains because we have only deployed contracts for Ethereum Sepolia and Base Sepolia, I think it would be wise to go to our constants. I think this is chains and simply remove the ones we are not going to be using. So let me do that real quick. So far, no byte coding, but I mean, that part is coming soon. Yeah, okay, this looks more like it. And then we have a component inside somewhere in here called, I think it's message flow card, where you basically do something with the contents of this box, message to send. Sorry about that. Message to send. Then we have the text area on change. And this is where we address the click event that happens in here when something has been put inside of this. So I think what we should be doing first, let's rename this to something more friendly, I guess. Whatever content we have in here, we are no longer going to be calling the universal contract with the message. So this is not what we are going to be doing. So let me remove the stuff we are not going to be using. For now, I will simply comment it out because some of this stuff we are going to be using. I think we are most likely are going to be using Designer. So that's good. We also want to update the UI somewhere, so that also makes sense. So I think now this is a good place to get started. Let me do something real quick here and basically output this string to the console just to ensure we are getting somewhere. This is the string value, I believe. I like using console debug instead of console log, but that's just a preference. So Hi from form, from not form. And yeah, that's our message. So that is working as expected. So we should be doing something different with this. So let's trace back to the, I don't know why I went ahead and closed this, but essentially let's go back to the NFT tutorial. Where is this? NFT. I think this is it. Yeah. So what's next? Now we need to mint NFTs based on the token URI. So essentially, this box should be accepting your token URIs. I have a token URI ready for us here. So essentially, the first thing we should be doing is we should only accept things and enable this button when a valid token URI has been set up. And I think it's already a good time to start doing some bytecoding. So the way I go about this is when I work on visual elements on a website, I usually take a good screenshot and feed it to the AI and basically tell it exactly what it needs to do. So let me try that here. I know the piece of code I want to edit, which is inside this handle click handler. So that's good. In Cursor, I use Cursor. I mean, you could use any tools that you like. There are a few of them. I usually find Cursor is probably super easy to use. I have already tried Cloud Code. I personally think it's much easier, at least for demos like this, to add context here in Cursor is much easier compared to something like Cloud Code. So essentially what I do here is I put my cursor at the beginning of the snippet I care about. I select everything I want to add as context, and I press Command I. And as you can see, the entire snippet is here. You can even see it, scroll or whatever. I'm also going to be adding the screenshot as we discussed. So I want the AI to basically, there you go, that's our screenshot. We want it to act on a visual element, which is our form. So basically we want it to be something like, in the form I provided as context on the screenshot, I only want to enable the send message button. By the way, we can then rename the names, the buttons and the visual elements, because I don't think message to send and send message makes sense for our situation, but so far we are doing it like this. We can edit the copy later. In the form I provided as context in the screenshot, I only want to enable the send message button when a valid URL has been provided by the user. We are going to be accepting HTTPS or IPFS URLs and let it do some magic.
I like how you provide a very detailed prompt, grammatically correct, like
It's not the typical do something. And I also like to provide a lot of context. Usually, I think for visual stuff, front-end, screenshots are always good to provide, and also the actual snippets. I mean, you can only reference the file, but if you know exactly what is the snippet that needs to be corrected or worked on, that helps a lot. Okay, so what we have here. Let me see these changes. Let me close this, and I want to see the diff. Oh, this sucks. Initialize repository. Oh, I want to see the diff. Oh, there you go. I want to see. The thing is, I didn't do the first commit. So yeah, I won't be seeing the difference, but I guess we can do first commit, and everything after this, we are going to be able to see. Yeah, okay. So is valid URL, where is this being used? This is being used here. So essentially, if we provide any random string, this should not be working. However, if we provide a valid string with a valid format as a URL, then this should work, and it does. This should work for either HTTPS or IPFS, I think, and it does. And let's try some different protocols, like, I don't know, FTP doesn't work. So good validation to have. Let's move on to the next thing. What do we want to do with this? Essentially, we want to be calling the mint. I think we are calling safe mint, not just mint, right, Dennis?
Yeah.
Okay, so essentially, we want to call the safe mint. Let's ask our friend to do this for us. So is valid event cool handle fake. Hopefully, we have the safe mint to provide us context. I think we have, since we do have in our editor the NFT project, I think we can also provide the actual contract. I think this is going to be EVM universal because we are going to be minting only from Base or Ethereum Spolia. So safe mint. Cool. This is it. I'm also going to be adding this as context. So this has both our handle click handler as well as the safe mint from the NFT tutorial. So now we want to do something like, let's call the safe mint function using the token URI obtained in the form. I'm providing the safe mint contract implementation. Let's see if that's enough. I'll help you implement the safe mints. What I really like about doing this is that it keeps providing context on the actual steps that it's doing, and it even has a list of to-dos. So I'm always in the know of what it's doing. I think that's really good. I create the NFT contract API interface. Let me create a new file for the NFT contract interface. Okay, this is the API. This looks okay. Why all of these type errors though? I think it's safe to ignore for the sake of this tutorial. Safe mint of type, not assignable to type string. If it works, then I won't complain. I mean, we can always fix type errors later. Review next file. What we have here, this is the form page. Get NFT contract address. Okay, this makes sense. I would have used an object and access the object with the chain name, but this works too. So we have the NFT contract address, cool. User address, we can get it from designer. That's also good thinking. NFT contract, create NFT contracts. Okay, that makes sense. Let me simplify the interface to avoid TypeScript conflicts. Oh no, you were doing so good. Can find namespace ethers. Okay. So far, I'm liking this.
Yeah, it's looking good.
I should update the confirmed content component to reflect NFT minting instead of cross-chain messaging. That also is a good sensible suggestion. By the way, you don't need to keep clicking the keep all button constantly like a maniac. You can basically wait for it to do everything and then just click the button once. Here, there's going to be a button that says keep all, and just a single click is going to be doing it. But I like to see things in real time. So that's why I keep pressing the button. Okay, so summary of changes. What do we have here? Created NFT contracts interface. EVM Universal NFT. This is it. Okay, this looks good to me, I think. Create a helper function to instantiate the contract. That also. Go ahead, go ahead. Okay. Then updated message flow card component, URL validation, that's okay. NFT contract integration, replace the commented EVM call with direct safe mint function calls, change specific contract addresses, added logic to get the correct NFT contract address based on the selected chain. UI updates, change the text from message to send to NFT token URI, that makes sense. That's exactly what I said. I mean, it's like it was listening to what I was discussing with you guys. Basically, I already mentioned that I was going to change the copy and already did that for us. So that's really good. Updated confirm content component. So simplified logic, removed cross-chain polling. We don't need it anymore. That's a good call. Updated text, changed from cross-chain, okay. Key features, URL validation, chain support, direct minting, user-friendly, clear UI. Okay, let's give that a shot. First, I want to ensure we are doing something. So we have result.hash. Hopefully that's going to be rendered on the screen because I want to see it. So let's give this a go. Let's grab. What was it?
Yeah, it definitely is. Your screen's updated.
Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so let's give this a shot. Means NFT approved from wallets. So far, so good. I think the fact that it prompted my wallet is a good sign. Okay, so sign, confirm. NFT minted. Okay, new transaction based Epolia. This actually worked, right? I'm surprised. So
Good
this
stuff.
is, yeah, so far so good. Yeah, so we have this. The thing is, once I refresh my browser, this is going to be nowhere to be found. So we need to solve this storage issue. I think it'd be really good to have something on local storage. But first, let me commit this because this is actually good stuff. So basically, implemented SafeMint. There you go. Next thing is, I don't want these NFTs to be forgotten into oblivion. We need to save the, what are these guys called? This thing, token ID. The token IDs on local storage. Eventually, I want to list them on a separate component. But for now, saving them in local storage will do. Before executing, I think it's important to plan. And basically, what I do sometimes with the AI is instead of just coding and just making it execute, I ask it to provide a report with options. And so basically, I want to consider what the best move would be before actually executing it. So what I want to know here is, what would you suggest is a good forward thinking schema for this local storage entities? The token ID is a must. What else is important? Please keep in mind we are going to be implementing cross-chain NFT cross-chain transfers later on. I want suggestions. Well, it will execute without asking me, but I guess I should have been more explicit about no code changes required, just a report, but whatever. So what we have here, NFT transfer record.
It's actually a good schema. It's a bit more verbose than I would want it probably, because we don't need like block number and timestamp, but it doesn't know the how it's going to be transferred. So
I mean, way too verbose in my opinion, but I still think it will do just fine. So we have an NFT
You
counter,
use it
NFT
very
collection.
well. I think Dennis is highly skeptical of AI. Meanwhile, you're making very good use of being super specific about what the parameters of what you're allowing it to do. And I think both of those things would make it a much more efficient model. It really is only as good as what you ask it and the developers who are using it. So I think the more specific you can be, and also the more critical you can be, both of those things make a great prompt engineer.
Yeah, so I think there are a few things that are really important. First is providing the right context, and then providing a concrete, actionable, steps or whatever. Because the thing is, sometimes I see people using prompts that are way too vague and don't like outline concrete steps that the AI should be doing. So they are leaving way too much to the AI interpretation, which I don't think is a good idea.
What I'm using is I will have the AI ask ZetaChain ask to then go
That's good.
seriously to then go make sure, because on its own it doesn't format the same way that ZetaChain is out of the box. Claude doesn't know exactly the structure we're using, but ZetaChain ask does. So if you ask it to ask itself,
For those who don't know what ZetaChain Ask is, essentially our CLI tool has this command called ask, which is
how to
basically going
send
to
a
be
NFT coin.
querying our docs and has super in-depth knowledge of what, everything code related. So essentially, if you ask something like, please explain how I should be structuring revert options on Solana. And these types of super concrete questions are going to be revealed extremely easily. So I find a lot, of value in this tool. So you know that you have a revert address, which is of type pub key. Then this is interesting for me because I actually needed to implement this and work with something related yesterday. So in Solana, revert address is a pub key on Solana. It's a Solana address basically, whereas the abort address is a 20-byte Ethereum style address on ZetaChain. I was basically using the same pub key for both revert address and abort address, and I basically solved it using ZetaChain Ask. So yeah, it's an extremely good resource. Okay, so the thing that I told you guys before, essentially, if you wait patiently, at some point it will provide you a keep all button here. So yeah, let's press it and let's see the summary. What do we have here? Complete NFT local storage implementation. I created a comprehensive forward-thinking local storage system for your NFTs that's perfectly designed for future cross-chain transfers. Here's what we've built. Local storage schema. The schema captures all essential data. Okay. Key features implemented. Automatic NFT saving, token ID extraction, comprehensive error handling. I want to see how it implemented this, by the way. I want to see how it obtains the token ID, because I think it has to, at some point, go and meddle with the logs of the transaction. So that's going to be interesting to see. Comprehensive error handling, cross-chain ready, future-proof. Okay. Files created, types, NFT, TypeScript interfaces and types, utils, NFT storage, utils, NFT display, ready to use NFT listing component. Okay. What happens now? When you mint an NFT, all data is automatically saved to local storage. Token ID extraction, the system extracts the real token ID from the blockchain transaction. Comprehensive tracking. Every NFT is tracked with full metadata, ready for cross-chain. Future cross-chain features ready. This schema includes transfer history, is transfer, NFT list component. Example usage. It already implemented the list. Okay, let's see this in action, but first I want to see
I
what
think AI
this.
usually gives you two truths and a lie. So
Yeah,
two of those
I,
things are true. One of those things is not. I don't think that it's pulling a string for metadata yet, though it could.
I won't believe it until I see it.
Right.
That's my mindset with AI. So previously we were just waiting for the receipts. Now we are doing something else apparently. So token ID. Where are we getting this token ID from? Ethers to number transfers, log topics. Okay, this apparently is doing it. Okay, this is really good. So, okay, save NFT data to local storage, create NFT data, save NFT to storage. Okay. What else? What else do we have here? The NFT list. I have this annoying ESLint plugin that basically will yell at you to run save to autofix the imports. I mean, this is kind of a thing that I have. So basically, I want my imports to be sorted in a specific way. The AI probably doesn't know about this, but it is as simple as saving the file, and it will auto fix the formatting issue. So NFT test. Load NFTs. Okay, it loads the NFTs. Okay, this is called refresh data every 30 seconds in case of updates. 30 seconds is probably way too long. For the purposes of this demo, let's do 10 seconds. So yeah, what else? Loading. What is loading? Set loading. Okay. So yeah, basically on first render, we have this loading set to true. Then when it finally loads the NFTs, it sets it to false. It will never set it again as true, which I think makes sense. If there is no length, no NFTs found. My NFTs. Okay, I want to see this in action. What else do we have here? This is SRC types. Okay, this is what we saw before. Basically, the schema, NFT display. Oh, I see. Okay, this is pretty good. Then NFT storage. Okay, let's see this in action. So essentially, we don't have any NFTs yet. So let's try with the new one. These are board apes, by the way. So yeah, don't kill me for using this. Okay, this is the same thing that we already had, which is basically calling the save mint function. Let's do it. What happened? Something wasn't quite right. Error minting NFT. Oh, yeah, I love these errors. argument value, invalid argument. Okay, I don't like this, so I'm basically going to be screaming at my AI to fix it. So essentially, let's do this. We also need to keep it, honest and accountable. So when something goes wrong, it's also important to make it fix it. This is it. I'm going to be providing context of the console errors as well as the piece of code that appears here when you click. So basically that's the offending line. And by the way, I'm also going to be providing the actual line as context too. So let me do this. We know this is the offending line. So let me do Command I to add it as context too. So now we can do your new changes resulted in an error and providing screenshots of the browser logs as well as the offending line. Please review and fix. This is more vague, I think, but I want to see how it handles this.
I think the problem is actually topic 3. It should be topic 0, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm curious to see what it comes up with.
Yeah, good thing.
It looks like when you highlight a line, you can just add to chat.
No, yeah, what I do usually is add to chat also works. I basically select and press Command I. This is taking it a while. We could essentially log these logs and take a look ourselves. Begin overflow error. Well, this is interesting. Token ID extracted from the transaction received is a very large number. Okay.
The string is too long, I think, for it to be able to read. I've heard that a few times.
Yeah, but I don't think this should be treated as a number. Okay. Let's see if that solves it. In any case, I still want to see the receipt logs. So instead of this, I const receipt logs. There we go. I want to actually see them by myself. Console receipt logs. Okay, let's try it again. Well, that worked. Okay, yeah, I'm not mad anymore. So, okay, means another new transaction on base Sepolia. This is it, okay? Token ID, cool. And let me see, because our last ask was to create a local storage store. So NFT collection, transfer history. This looks like an object. I thought, no, what? Okay, so it is an object, but it is an object that uses the ID. So essentially, each NFT is going to be a key in an object. So that works. Okay, so now we already have the store, but I don't see them anywhere here. So what I'm going to say is I wanted to see the store. So let me show the NFT collection. I wanted to see that it actually, we do have a store, and now we want to use these values to show list. So let me go back here, please. We will save this, and we will say add local storage store for NFTs. Okay. So let me grab a quick screenshot of this, provide as context, and we'll say, I see we are saving the NFT store to local storage. That's fine. But now I want to see the NFTs on the screen. So let me, I want to tell it that I want them here in this space we are using as gap. I'm also going to be providing that as context, and I will say, I want the list below the form and above the, what do we call this? The footer, okay? I want each list entry to occupy the full width of the viewport, essentially where the purple gap is. I want each list entry to occupy the full width of the viewport. Okay, that sounds okay to me. Let's see what it does.
What I found is CSS is actually much harder for AI than JavaScript, because it can write correct CSS, of course, because it's trained on like a billions lines of code, but it doesn't know when the layout is broken, right? It's not obvious from CSS. It's declarative compared to like JavaScript, which is
Yeah, and the thing is,
imperative.
I think we as humans have a better sense of what looks good versus the AI. Because the thing is, when it has to work with data or code, it's like it follows a certain logic, but what looks good doesn't follow logic. It just goes on personal taste, and it, of course, doesn't have personal taste. Let me, give me 1 second, guys. I will be right back.
No problem. It's good stuff.
Yeah, we're soon going to start tackling the cross chain. That's where the main logic is going to be.
I told you it's going to be a second, and thankfully it was. In the meantime, we still had our AI doing stuff, so it's not like we wasted any time. That was super efficient, I think. The best time for interruption. Okay, so it did create the NFT list, but it wasn't rendering it anywhere.
Can you share your screen, please, again?
Oh, I sorry about that. Yeah. So share screen. Yeah, I was talking about things that were happening on my screen without actually sharing it. So yeah, sorry about that. So keep off. So what I was saying is it had created the NFT component before, but it wasn't rendering it anywhere. So it's now doing that. So that looks good. What else do we have here? Okay. A few styles. I want to see this in action. We already have an NFT in our store. So, oh, this looks awful. Oh my. What is, oh no. This is completely broken. Placeholder NFT. As you can see, it is flashing. Apparently, it is trying to render some image, but it is failing. So yeah, no, we don't like this. This works well for the light screen.
It's probably an issue with IPFS and Chrome. It's probably less what you did and more the environment it's trying to render in. IPFS notoriously has to be like, you have to have IPFS running locally to then work with local, and it's probably it. It probably works just fine.
Oh, but look at this. It is rendering. No, this, no, man. This is no good. So, okay.
Uh-oh.
A few things. Yeah, I'm getting pissed off right now. So yeah, sorry about what I'm going to say today. Yeah, no, I want to keep things friendly and polite. That this is not going to fly with me. So okay, the list needs to be rendered below the form and not besides it. Let's please stick with the dark theme, and we don't care about the actual image. So remove the ing tag, because we saw that what's failing is the ing tag, this guy here. So we don't want that. I think we can do just fine without actually seeing. The good thing is it also saved the metadata, so it is still reachable. But yeah, we don't care about the image. At least for now. We can see if we can do something better later, but for now, I just want to see something that is not broken on the screen. Yeah, no good. I also don't think I care about these storage statistics. My NFTs. Yeah, no. No, that's not cutting for me. But don't worry, we will ask it to remove it later.
I'm
As in the
getting
query.
bootstrap flashbacks from this generated
Yeah,
UI.
for sure. It certainly looks like Bootstrap. Yeah, yeah.
I'm actually surprised it didn't use the standard theme because there are styles in the template, right? We're not loading them from anywhere.
No, absolutely. So it should be reusing our styles. So that's kind of concerning, I think. Because I mean, you have a lot of context about what we want this to look like. So it's hard that you can mess it up this bad. Yeah, it is still confused. This layout is unique in the sense that this is besides the form, but it also occupies more height than just the form. So it is interesting because we are seeing the changes live. So let's keep this here, and we will see how all of this text starts getting white, which was the case. It should be removing this image some soon, hopefully, because this is driving me crazy, I think. In fact, my browser was literally hanged because of all of these weird requests it was making. Okay, contract. Current chain, base Sepolia. Chain, base Sepolia. I guess this chain is the origin chain, and it will always be the origin chain. So let's go back to cursor. People. I'm still not happy, but this is better. So the thing is, I think it still doesn't fully understand the layout. So let's do something like net expected results. Please examine the HTML layout. I want, this is going to be hard to explain, but essentially I want this and this to be on the same container, then an entirely separate container for the NFTs and a final container for the footer. So I'm going to explain this in the best way I can, because it's not that easy, but I want the following layout. So basically say hello with network switcher. This should go in the same container as the token URI form. Then we want the list, NFT list. Then we want the footer. Okay, so a few things. First, I wanted to completely remove these my NFTs and storage statistics sections. So let's say for now this is okay. So a few important notes. So first, the first container should include the network switcher as well as the token URI form in a flex container with direction row. Regarding the NFT list, let's please remove the awful NFT, my NFTs title, as well as the storage statistics section. We don't care about that. Let's also remove the NFT image placeholder from the NFT entries. I think that makes sense because I'm providing concrete structure and a few important nodes. So I would expect these two to be in the same container, separated with flex direction row. So essentially, horizontally, the network switcher would be at the left and the NFT minting form would be at the right. Then I would expect this row to be full width, and then this will still be below. I think this prompt makes sense, so let's try that out.
I like how we went back to describing layouts with tables. That's
Yeah.
how it kind of started. But it's a good way of describing layouts, and there are tools that let you draw an ASCII, right? You like use your cursor to draw rectangles and arrows with ASCII. So I imagine that could be useful to describe your intent to AI, because it's easier to parse than a JPEG, right? Because you need to do a lot more work to understand what it is on a JPEG, but text is easier.
I think, though, this is a quick and dirty way of describing the layout. Something better would be to create a very nasty but still better Figma design. So essentially, we could simply screenshot each section, put it side by side, and it would look really bad. I mean, but at least it would give it a concrete, like, design idea of what we are expecting. But I'm still hopeful that this prompt is going to be good enough. So yeah, I still want to do the keeple, but instead of just looking at that, let's take a look here. So yeah, one thing it did is it removed the placeholder image. We didn't like that. It does seem like it united both of these things in the same. This is working now, but because I'm in a smaller viewport, but this has to work on desktop for sure. Don't tell me 343 of done, because that's not the case, buddy.
You can click the little check mark up there next to it. Before it's completely finished, you can check them one by one in that gray line.
You mean the to-dos?
Yes, in the to-dos list, there's a little checkbox. If you click that, it'll push it through faster.
Unfortunately, the list is still besides the form and network suite. It looks, I didn't provide, I think, the screenshot. That's extremely important. There you go. Let's give it one more shot before doing it ourselves. This is a vibe coding workshop at the end of the day, but I don't want us to waste too much time on CSS when we actually want to display and perform all of the transfer logic. Although I'm pretty sure it's going to address the transfer logic in seconds, and it's probably going to struggle a lot more with CSS. Issue fixed. Okay. This is okay. This is fine. I can work with this. So let's basically mint one more. Let's do with ID 7. Does Ravi display the NFTs? I think it does, right? This is XP NFT. I would like to see if Ravi can display the actual NFTs. I know that's something that happens automatically on MetaMask, but it would have been cool to have it here. Apparently, that's not the case. Okay, so let's mint 7 on Ethereum Sepolia. That apparently didn't work. NFT contract not available for selected chain. That's interesting. Why would that be the case?
It's probably not replacing the contract address, right? The addresses are different.
Yeah, I don't like that. Let's go back to our friend. The NFT minting functionality works great and base Sepolia, but that's not the case on Ethereum Sepolia. Are we using the correct address? First, before asking, I want to see if this is in our constants. So yeah, I think this is okay. I will also provide that as context. Providing the ETH Sepolia contract address as context. Okay, let's see.
I think it's always easier to stick to chain IDs versus labels. I'm not suggesting we should switch right now, but in general, makes it easier because otherwise you have to have a mapping. Because like, what is Sepolia? Half crypto is called Sepolia, right? Like every meme chain has a testnet called Sepolia.
That makes sense. That's a very sensible suggestion. Was that actually the case? You're right. That's exactly what happened. So let's log chain.name just so we see what we are dealing with here. Let's try that again. That worked. Yeah, so basically it was fetching it by name, and the name is Ethereum Sepholia. So yeah, good forward thinking, Dennis. Approved from wallet, we already did that. Let me see if this is included in the local storage store collection. We do have 2 of these guys here. This is probably, oh, I didn't have to refresh the browser. That was good. Okay. So perfect. I'm liking this. Let me remove this console log. Then let me commit these changes. So improved. I don't think we were even rendering the actual list at local storage. This is, by the way, a list of my latest commits. I always say it is a good idea to provide helpful commit messages because you know in what state the work you're doing was before committing. So after seeing all of these messages, I know that we were not rendering the list before this. So now we can say that rendering the NFT list. Okay, commit. This is good. Okay, so let's go back to we have the documentation here and we have the tutorials. Okay. I want the NFT tutorial.
It's in the universal assets.
Universal assets. There you go. Universal NFT. So, okay, we are rendering what we want to render in the UI. I think this transfer button for the time being does nothing. So it's time to make it do something. So deploy, essentially, we are already doing this. Okay, this is what we want to do now. So essentially, these guys right here should, essentially the contract that's minting these NFTs should also have a transfer function. Let's take a look at the actual NFT example code. So contracts, I think this is it.
So we don't actually have transfer in the example because it's inherited from the contract, right? You're not supposed to modify the function. So you can go to standard contracts to look it up, but it's basically called transfer cross chain. But yeah, it would help.
Chain.
Yeah, it would actually help to have it on hand. So you can go to GitHub or.
Yeah, let me do it like this. I will stop the development server. I want to basically fetch the standard contracts repo. So let's do, I want to be at the root of my demos folder because I want this context to be on cursor. So let's do, I think this is actually something that we have here. We have the URL. No, we don't. So GitHub ZetaChain standard contracts. So I usually use SSH. Git clone standard contracts. And we should have that now in cursor. There you go. So contracts, NFT, contracts, EVM, universal NFT. This is transfer cross-chain?
Yeah, it's in the core file.
In the core file, there you go. Transfer cross-chain. Okay, so essentially we want to be calling this function on the transfer button. Is that it?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so I will display this. Where are we? So our transfer button should call the transfer cross-chain function. function. We need to provide a network selector in the row itself. I want to see what it comes with. So where would be the best place to put the selector?
Just next to the button, I think.
Yeah, next to the button will be fine.
One thing we need to provide is ZRC20 addresses, otherwise it's not going to know what a destination is. So I suggest we just say like Sepolia ZRC20 destination address, and
okay.
or
So
we can add it to constants manually.
okay, so essentially, let me get this straight so we can do ZetaChain query. I think this is tokens list, right?
Yep.
So I think we need to provide if sep and base sep. This is it, okay. So we can say something like export const CRC20 token addresses. Essentially, we want to say that if set and where are we base? There you go. Okay, I will also provide this as context. Also providing the CRC20 token addresses as context, which are required to call the function. Okay, let's see if it does it.
And you mentioned
it needs to approve,
the
right?
destination. That ZRC20 is the destination because it's not clear from the contract source.
Okay, so I'm also providing as context, which is the destination. Okay. Do we need to approve NFTs from the contracts, or is this going to work as is?
As a user, I think you need to approve the contract to handle your NFT, but we can see if it figures it out.
I like that. I like that. Always throwing the curveballs. Okay.
If it doesn't figure out, one trick you can use is just copy and paste the transfer function, the transfer command from the standard contracts repo, which works.
Where is this? So we can find in folder. You said this is called?
Yeah, it's transfer. No, it's actually easier to find in the hierarchy in the file directory.
Yeah.
Go into contracts, NFTs, and commands. So contracts, NFTs, commands,
transfer. There you go. I see. So it really was convenient to have standard contracts in the editor context, I think.
Yeah, we should actually train the ZetaChain ask command to know about standard contracts as well. I don't think right now it knows much about it.
I like to see how it does in real time. So far, it's not doing anything. But this is a good trick to have, under our sleeve. Contract transfer on cross-chain.
I wanted to say this looks good, but this is actually the command, so of course it looks good. It's not what it generated.
No, of course, yeah, no, this is legit.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what it's doing. Why would you change this?
It just didn't like it.
Yeah.
There's no reason to change this, but
Yeah, no, not at all. So can we see them side by side? I
It
don't
looks
think
the
we can.
same to me.
It looks the same, yeah. But even a single byte can make all the difference.
Right.
That's the thing. Let's hope it did the right thing. This is still okay, and this is also still okay. So we're good. What else? Okay, so it is changing the ABI. Apparently, this was not part of the original ABI, so it's adding it. What else? CSS, NFT transfer. Hmm. I don't like it when I see TypeScript errors in the AI generated code. What else do we have? Okay, let's try and see if this works. Ah, I was actually, seeing if it did something in real time, and it turns out I had terminated my local development server, so of course it wasn't going to do anything. So let me open it up again. Select destination. Okay. I want to have my console open for when this happens. So let's say I want to send it to Baseball. Yeah. Okay, this is it. NFT. Oh, are we really using prompts here? Or this is alert, right? Transfer
yeah.
NFT from this will initiate a cross-chain transfer. The NFT will be moved to the destination chain. Okay. Transfer initiated. Being transferred to Sepulveda. User rejected the request. I didn't like the flow because it never prompted my wallet to do anything. What is this? Should we expect this to have triggered anything without me signing? I don't think so, right?
No. Of course, you should sign approval first and then sign the actual transfer next.
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah. User rejected the request. Okay, let me provide this as context.
The only good thing it did is filtered out the chain that the NFT is already on, so you wouldn't be transferring to the same chain. But that was nice.
That's good UX. So this flow, essentially I want to say that I accepted the true alert confirmations, but it never prompted me to sign or approve anything in my wallet. It simply failed with the error I'm attaching as context. Could this error C line be related? In case you don't know how to properly implement the transfer cross-chain function, I am providing a proper implementation from standard contracts as context. And let me add this as context. There you go. I asked quite a few things. I don't think that's a good idea, but I still wanted to see how it does. But essentially, I said this is broken. Then I also said I don't like this error message. It probably is it related. In any case, even if it is not this, I still wanted to fix it. And only then I provided like a real actionable route.
Can you go back to
So-
NFT transfer file just so we can see what could be wrong with the logic?
Yeah, okay, I think this is it. So destination address, get CRC20 address, destination address. If there is no destination address, we throw an error. That was not the case. NFT contract. This worked before, so it should also work now. Results. NFT contract transfer cross-chain, send 0.1 ETH for gas fees. Isn't this a lot? I don't even know if I have those funds. Oh, integrate wallet connection and signer properly. So apparently that was not a thing it did before. It's like it didn't cross its mind. No, we don't use that here. Sometimes, I guess when it gets overwhelmed, it starts doing stuff like this. Yeah, you're planning on keeping this. Yeah, I don't like that. First, I want to see it working, and then we will complain about this. I don't think I can hold myself. Oh. And the thing is, these types are everywhere in the code base. There's no excuse for doing this. This is not something novel. But in any case, I just want to see if we can get it to work. Okay, so how it works now, user selects destination chain from the dropdown. User clicks transfer button. System gets wallet connection and user address. User confirms transfer in dialog. System executes approved transaction. System executes transfer cross-chain. Success message shows in transaction hash. NFT refreshes to show updated state. Okay, let's see that it right. I want to send this one from Basic Polia to Ethereum. You will need to approve 2 transactions. Approve and execute. Perfect. Pop-up blocked. What is this?
It's your pop-up blocker.
I will have to try that again. I want to see what those pop-ups were. There you go. Chain Sepolia. Okay. I thought it was on base. Okay, whatever. Transferring.
One thing I forgot to mention is that it's actually using 0.1 ETH, which is quite a lot of ETH. I don't know how much you have in your account, but
I'm not sure if I have that much.
and you don't need that much either. So I think it's safe to use like 0.02, maybe even 0.01.
So far, it seems like it is doing something. I just want a base transaction hash so we can start querying. Okay, Transfer successful. Was being transferred. Oh, I can copy this. Oh no.
Screenshot it.
No, you
Yeah,
can
I will.
copy it. I think you can
How?
copy. Does it not
I
work?
can't. I can't click this. Yeah,
It
I
won't
will
let them
have.
highlight the pop-up.
Yeah, that's
But
really bad.
you can always go to the Explorer and find your address and get, I mean, or do what you're doing right
Yeah.
now. This also works.
So we care about the base Sepolia, right? So this is base Sepolia. This is obviously part of it. And then, okay. It probably messed up something, so I guess I'm
It
going to
did
be
it.
following your suggestion.
It pasted the second half up front instead of at the end.
I guess, I don't know. NFT transfers. 42 minutes ago?
Didn't
No,
you
this is
broadcast
it.
this TX to Sepolia, not base?
Yes.
I think that's what happened, right? So Etherscan, Sepolia, and let's look for my wallet. But what I'm
Ta-da.
what I'm thinking is current chain Ethereum Sepolia, but shouldn't it have triggered a transaction on base Sepolia? Because I mean, the original mint chain was base Sepolia. There should be something in here. So let me open this, and I want to see what happened with this token ID. Yeah, I don't see the
Yeah,
transfers cross-chain here.
this is just minting, but maybe it's wrong in how it shows where the NFTs actually are. So
Hmm.
if you go to Etherscan and what's the latest transaction you have? I think in the transaction tab.
Here, transactions. Okay,
Yeah,
transfer.
1 minute ago you did something. Let's see what that is.
Actually, I did two things and not just one. So let's take a look at both of them.
Is there a tab for NFT transfers too?
Yeah, there is, but here we're not transferring NFT. We're actually calling the gateway. We're supposed to be calling gateway, but that's not what happens. Not the gateway. What am I saying? We're actually interacting with the NFT contract, right?
Yeah, I don't think any of these guys are what we are looking for here.
I mean, it could be like, what is the to address 5B1? Is it your contract?
5B1. So my address is 0x31, and this is 5B1. Let's see if this is somewhere in our code base. And it's not. Because sorry about that. So yeah, base Sepolia. It did the opposite, I think, right? So my understanding was that this NFT was originally minted on Base, and we were moving it to Ethereum Sepolia. It's now displaying that the current chain is Ethereum Sepolia, but I don't think that's the case. Usually, when we do the transfer, it should appear here. So yeah, something weird happened. I think it did it the other way around.
I think it's. I think the best next step is to actually confirm that the NFTs are still on the chains where they were minted. So if you take your user address and check that's the NFT, so just find your user address in Basecamp, and it will show that the NFT was minted, safe mint, right? So you can click on the transaction. Yeah, this one. And yeah, if you click on token ID here, it will Yeah, it transferred from zero address to you, meaning that the NFT is still there.
It is still on base.
Yeah, it's still on base and it still belongs to you. And we can do the same on Etherscan just to make sure that the NFTs, because it doesn't matter what our UI says, right? It can be wrong, but
Yeah, I
the
think it
Explorer.
is for sure. So the thing is, this has a different, because I minted one on each of them, but the one that starts with 2894 is the one that was originally minted on base, which is this one. And the one that starts with 1061 is the one that I minted originally on Sepolia. So I don't think the state here in the app is correct. So yeah, I don't like that. Essentially, I want to provide some context to it. I follow the complete flow. I chose the NFT with, we have to be super specific here. So with token ID, I want the actual token ID. I can grab it from here. Originally minted on base Sepolia. The UI says it's already on Ethereum Sepolia. I will provide a screenshot of the UI. However, I also going to be providing a screenshot of the Explorer. However, the base Sepolia Explorer does not indicate that the transfer cross-chain function was called, because the NFT is still under my possession in base Sepolia. This is going to be a really hard one to crack, I think. But yeah, I don't know what to say right now.
Can you
But
go back to UI and try transferring and just like the first one, click transfer, like base Sepolia, then transfer?
let's see what it
Okay.
does.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what.
I don't think it is a good idea to do it now, because
No, you don't need to
let's
do
see.
it. You don't need to do it. We just want to see which chain it selects. So if you click base Sepolia, then transfer OK, and just wait for the press OK. We're not going to confirm the transaction. We just want to see which chain it wants to broadcast transaction to.
Okay.
So it's going to say Sepolia, right? So even though this is supposed to be on base, it says it wants to broadcast to Sepolia, not to base. And now let's cancel. Just cancel this.
I think what's
the problem
interesting.
is good.
I think what's interesting. I think I remember seeing this the first time being Sepolia too. I don't know if it is probably hard coding it to be Sepolia all the time. I'm worried
Yeah,
about that.
it's not choosing the right chain. It's just using the chain that you have selected in your wallet.
Right.
And that's
Correct. Yeah, there's no network switcher.
I see. I see.
Multi-chain needs a dynamic network switching.
No, I don't think network switching is probably the issue. It's more about the parameters. So I think, in fact, let me see what is my connected chain in this Ethereum. Yeah, Ethereum mainnet. So yeah, I don't think it's related to that. So I think we are always using Ethereum Sepolia as the, what does this say? As the destination. Are we are coding this somewhere? Okay, this is going to be a really complicated one, I think. I don't know how it is going to make sense of all of this.
Let's see what it comes up with, but if it doesn't work, we can always console log and check which NFT it's trying to send, and check which chain it's trying to send it on.
Yeah, I think we are really, really close. It's just making the proper transaction here, but I think in terms of UI, I think we have accomplished everything we wanted to. I'm still thinking. Transfer NFT. I see the problem, okay. The contract address parameter in the original contract address, but we need to use the current chain's contract address for the approved call. Give me 1 second. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. I see a problem. The contract address parameter is the original contract address based upon, yeah, but we need to use the current chain's contract address for the approved call. Okay, it says it fixed it. Let's try that one more time. Where are we? There we go. Actually, let me reopen this. If what we are trying to do works, we should have a transfer row here in this list of transactions for this token ID. So let's try that again. Oh, but the UI is all messed up now because this still thinks it is on Ethereum Sepolia, which is no longer the case. So let's try it with this other one. So this was originally minted on Ethereum Sepolia, and we want to move it to base Sepolia. Transfer NFT from Ethereum Sepolia to base Sepolia. Yes, this will initiate a cross-chain transfer. Sepolia, this is correct. Let me grab this. Okay. I think I first approved and now I'm signing the actual transfer cross-chain function. It says transferring, so I'm hoping this works. Approval transaction confirmed, transferring NFT. I will keep our console open to see if something comes up here. I also have this here. If this works, we will see a transfer row here. Let me also take a look at my address on Sepolia. So far, the only thing that happened is the safe mint and also the approval. Transaction failed, execution reverted. Transaction. Okay, what happened here? Notification no. Transaction receipts.
Can you check that the contract address is correct? So it ends on EE20 if this is the right contract for
EE20. Sepolia.
yeah.
So, but wait. We want to send it to base Sepolia.
Yeah, but you're interacting with the same contract that the NFT is currently on, so it seems to be correct. We're sending it from Ethereum, so EE20 is the contract address. So
Okay.
I think the only thing we kind of what's left to do is to console log the arguments we're passing to send transaction, because we are obviously approving it, but the next step is failing.
Yeah. So approval works. That's good.
Let's just console log the values and try again, because it's not going to tell us why it failed. It's just
So let's search for transfer cross chain. We want only to include our front-end project. So there we go. We want all of these arguments. Initiating cross-chain transfer.
okay. The parse ether is 0. That might be a problem because it needs an amount. It probably reverts in the contract. So you can hard code like 0.01. It doesn't even have to be like a valid amount. If it has the value, it's going to initiate the transfer, and that's all we wanted.
I see. So token ID, I will still log these guys to see what they are. Receiver address, destination address, transfer cross chain. So we know, let me take a look at the transfer cross chain. So essentially token ID, receiver, destination. Okay, so receiver would be my own address and destination is the destination of the other connected chain, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's give this another go. Initiating cross-chain transfer. I want to ensure this is being logged. It is. Okay. We are going to be seeing the arguments. Some human intervention is important sometimes. In the meantime, this is the transaction that failed. Execution reverted. I hoped there were more details here. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Initiating. Okay. Transfer successful. Okay. Is that really the case?
It
So far, I
exists.
don't think it is. So far, I don't think that's the case, but let's see. So let me expand this. The token ID is correct. Receiver address is my address, and this is the address of base contract in basic folder. That looks good to me. There you go. We did it. I think we did it.
Yep.
I think we did it. Okay, this is really good. So, okay, and now let me take a look at the base Sepolia Explorer. Essentially, I want to see if I search for the contract address on Sepolia, it should have 2 NFTs now, right?
This is the ZRC20 address, not.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I
think
base.
we can do a pro move now and query the cross-chain transaction on the CLI.
I like the sound of that, of course, you know, shameless plug. Okay, transfer, create transaction confirm. I think this is the hash on Sepolia, so we should be able to do something like, and no NPX, I already have it installed globally. Where is cctx.h for hash, and let's see if this works.
Might take a second for it to actually be found on base.
No worries.
But it did transfer the NFT to
It did.
it burned the NFT because that's what's supposed to happen. So
We also have this on ZetaScan. This is new functionality, but we have cross-chain transactions. I think if we paste the, no, that's not the case. Yeah, I thought if we pasted the original transaction from Sepolia, this would provide a result. I don't think that's the case. There you go. Okay, pending outbound. Okay, outbound mine transaction hash. This is a transaction on ZetaChain. So let's take a look at that. Why are you doing this to me? Transaction hash on chain 7001. I think this should provide a result. We are
it
on
should.
testnet. Testnet status scan. Maybe the Explorer is not having a good day. I don't know.
I think it's kind of lagging behind for some reason, but we're seeing the transaction being processed in the CLI. And
yeah, and thankfully we have the CLI to rely on. I mean, this tool is great. I love tracking cross-chain transactions using this tool. I
yeah, it
want to
gets the
see it.
job done.
No, don't be so humble. I think this is pretty good. I mean, as everything in life, it could be improved, but I think it is a really good tool.
And the good thing is that it talks directly to the RPC, so there is no indexer involved. There is no lag.
I really wish Ravi displayed the actual NFT, because I would be able to basically switch to Sepolia and see it directly in the wallet. Okay, this seems to have worked, so this should be found. There you go. Okay. Outbound mine. So essentially sender, transaction from Sepolia, send to ZetaChain, and then we have this other transaction. That's the transaction that went from ZetaChain to base Sepolia. So we have these two guys, and I want to see the internal. I think this is going to show the internal transaction on ZetaChain, the one that actually called the universal contracts. Let's take a look at the logs. Apparently, there are no logs. I think this is because the contract is not verified. So unfortunately, there isn't much clarity on what happened here. But let's go back to base scan. We are in Sepolia, so that's good. Let me search for my wallet address. Transfers. We were on mainnet. Sorry about that. Execute. This is the one that happened 1 minute ago, and it has the token ID of the NFT that was originally minted on Ethereum Sepolia. So we did it, guys. Good job.
Awesome.
Good job.
As predicted, it took us more time to figure out the layout versus cross-chain NFT transfers.
Yeah, of course.
But now we have the template, and we can refine it and make it faster.
Yeah, one thing that I can immediately think of is like the all of the confirmations should happen on an actual, UI piece and not on alerts like this, because alerts are not really easy to work with. As you saw, I couldn't even copy and paste a transaction hash, so that's really inconvenient. But I think this is something we can build upon.
Yeah, I think this is like a good starting point for developers who want to kind of continue building this into an app. It includes the main functionality, right? Like minting on one chain, sending to another chain. It does some basic error handling, and yeah, I think it's a full example.
All right, awesome.
Definitely. There's a lot of things you could use. This is a great building block to build some cool NFT tutorials. Um, as for now, it looks like our UI, so it's great the way it is. But for other people, they could add what image generation or some sort of anything to make it a gallery, something like that would make it uh, more UI friendly. But at least the bones are there. The bones are working.
And we'll push the
Absolutely.
code. We'll push the code to GitHub and share it with everyone. So if you want to use this as a starting point, you'll be able to just clone it and
Great job,
yeah.
Hernan. I know we're going to turn your two hour tutorial into a 5-minute video, but it's not without hard work and dedication. So I appreciate
No
you sticking
worries.
in there, and you made it happen on time too.
No worries. I had a blast.
Yeah, great job. And yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I think this was a really cool demo. We built a cross-chain app from scratch. Basically, it works with any wallet, and it handles cross-chain NFT transfers. So awesome.
Great job, you guys.
Awesome. Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
All right, signing
Yeah,
off. That's ZetaChain Universal NFT tutorial with Dennis, Hernan, and Matthew. Great job, you guys. Catch you on the next one. Stay tuned for our episodes coming out soon. We'll be going over tutorials, developer office hours, and all things ZetaChain. Until next time, you guys.
awesome.
See you
Bye.
around.